hypnotized. She's pretty, look into her eyes. They tell 1,000 stories of the past. Some of the memories you wish you didn't have. She's brave like her mind. She's a woman.
Hi everybody. I hope everybody is doing well, and I hope everybody is having a blessed day. Have you ever looked around one day and realized that the most creative, passionate, alive vision of yourself slowly disappeared while you were busy trying to save someone else? Not because they asked for help once, not because they were going through a hard season, but because you became emotionally responsible for people who were committed staying exactly where they were. You kept giving advice. You kept offering solutions. You kept sacrificing your peace. You keep believing that if you just love harder, explain better, showed up more consistently, or carried more of their burden, eventually they would change. But they didn't. And somewhere in that exhausting cycle, you lost something priceless: your creative energy. Today we are talking about how to reclaim it, not by becoming cold, not by becoming selfish, but by finally understanding that your creativity was never meant to be spent repairing people who refuse to repair themselves. There's a hidden cost to being the fixer. Most people think the cost is time. Is not. Most people think the cost is emotional exhaustion. That's only part of it. The real cost is that every ounce of energy you pour into managing someone else's life is energy stolen from creating your own. The book you never wrote, the business you never started, the art you never finished, the ideas you never explored, the dreams you never pursued, because your mind was occupied by a full-time job you were never hired for, trying to rescue people from themselves. And here is the painful truth: no amount of your effort can heal someone who is invested in remaining wounded. No amount of your wisdom can transform someone who is attached to dysfunction. No amount of your love can force someone to choose growth. The moment you accept that truth is the moment your creative energy starts flowing back to you. Why fixing people drains creativity? Creativity requires space. Think about it. The best ideas don't arrive when your mind is overwhelmed. They arrive when there's a room to think, room to imagine, room to experiment, room to be curious. But when you're trapped in a fixer mode, your mental bandwidth is consumed by endless questions. Why are they making the same mistakes again? How can I get them to see what they're doing? What should I say next? How do I help them understand? Maybe if I explain differently, maybe if I try harder, maybe if I don't give up on. Every one of those thoughts occupies space that could have been used for creation. Instead of building your future, you are troubleshooting someone else's present. Instead of writing, painting, designing, investing, learning, or growing, you're consistently running emotional diagnosis on other human beings. And creativity cannot thrive in chronic emotional maintenance mode. The mind becomes exhausted, not because it's lack of ideas, but because those ideas never get enough attention to grow. One of the hardest things to admit is that fixing people can become an identity. It feels noble, it feels compassionate, it feels meaningful. But sometimes beneath that identity is the dangerous illusion. The illusion that your value comes from being needed. If people are struggling, you feel important. If people depend on you, you feel relevant. If people keep coming back with problems, you feel useful. And slowly, your sense of purpose becomes tied to other people's dysfunction. The problem is that dysfunctional people often provide endless opportunities to feel needed, which means the cycles never ends. You solve one crisis, another appears. You patch one hole, three more opens. You rescue them today, they're drowning again next week. The goal was maintaining a familiar pattern, and you became trapped in a relationship where your energy is consistently consumed, but nothing fundamentally changes. That's not purpose. That's emotional labor without progress. And eventually, your creativity becomes collateral damage. Your creative energy is sacred. Here is something most people never realize. Creative energy is not just for artists. Creative energy is life force. It's the energy you use to imagine possibilities, to solve problems, to build a future, to reinvent yourself, to create meaning. Every successful business started as creative energy. Every meaningful relationship requires creative energy. Every personal transformation depends on creative energy. When you waste that energy trying to force growth in people who refuse it, you are spending your most valuable resource on an investment that produces no return. Imagine taking water from your own garden every day and pouring it into concrete month after month, year after year, then wondering why your flowers never bloom. The issue isn't that you lack potential. The issue is that you have been watering the wrong place. Some people are concrete, not because they're bad people, but because they're not ready. And readiness cannot be created from the outside. It must come from within. Let people own their journey. One of the most liberating lessons you'll ever learn is this: people deserve the dignity of their own consequences. That sounds harsh at first, but is actually respectful, because every human being has the right to choose, even when they're choosing poorly, even when they're repeating destructive patterns, even when you are certain they're making mistakes. Their life belongs to them. Their growth belongs to them. Their healing belongs to them. And their responsibility belongs to them. The moment you stop carrying responsibilities that were never yours, something incredible happens. You get lighter. You sleep better. You think more clearly. Your imagination starts returning. Ideas begin appearing again. The energies that was leaking out through consistent worrying finally has somewhere back into your life, back into your purpose, back into your creation. So, how do you actually reclaim your creative energy? First, stop confusing support with rescue. Support says, I believe in your ability to handle this. Rescue says, I will handle it for you. One empowers, the others enable. Second, notice where your attention goes. Energy follows attention. If you are spending 3 hours of a day worrying about someone else's choices, that's 3 hours of creative fuel disappearing. Redirect that attention. Write, build, learn, create, dream. Third, get comfortable with disappointing people. Many people benefited from your over functioning. They liked having access to your emotional labor. When you establish boundaries, some will call you selfish. Let them. Healthy boundaries often look selfish to people who benefited from your lack of them. Fourth, ask yourself a powerful question. What could I create if I stopped trying to save everyone? Sit with that question because the answer might change your life. What nobody tells you is that when you stop fixing people, you don't become less loving. You become more available for genuine love. Because genuine love doesn't control. It doesn't carry people against their will. It doesn't sacrifice itself, endlessly hoping someone else will transform. Genuine love respects freedom, even when freedom means watching someone make choices you wouldn't make. And as you release the responsibility of managing other people's lives, you'll notice something beautiful. You start meeting yourself again. The vision of you that had ideas, the vision of you that felt inspired, the vision of you that wanted to create something meaningful, the vision of you that existed before consistent emotional caretaking consumed your attention. That person isn't gone. They're waiting for their energy to return, waiting for their life to become their own again. If you have spent years trying to heal people who refuse to heal themselves, hear this. Your compassion was never the mistake. Your willingness to help was never the mistake. The mistake was believing that someone else's transformation depended on your sacrifice. It doesn't. People change when they decide to change. People grow when they choose growth. People heal when they become willing participants in their own healing. And until then, your responsibility is not abandon your own life trying to carry theirs. Your responsibility is to protect your energy, honor your gifts, nurture your creativity, and build the life you are meant to create. Because the world doesn't need another exhausted fixer. It needs the fully alive vision of you. The one who stopped pouring water into concrete and finally started watering their own garden. If this message resonated with you, leave a comment below with a word, reclaim, and let me know what creative dream you're ready to return to. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who needs this reminder today. Until next time, and remember, protect your energy and keep creating. I hope this helps you, and I love you all. Goodbye.